within 1 year. 6 people who came out in 2006. Only those who reoffended. The cost of the reoffence just over £11 billion. Billion. I mean, I saw an estimation for this year at over 13 billion for last year. Now that is probably inaccurate, because between 2005, and these are real figures as opposed to somebody making some estimation. Between 2005 and 2006, it went from 7.5 billion to just over 11 billion. Part of that were an increase in the cost of the judiciary, but also it was an increase of the numbers, and these numbers have increased annually since that time.
It's the habit, I suppose. You know, I'm an addict. I need to feed the habit. That's why I've got, I don't know, it's just petty burglary, just theft. Sooner or later you get caught. My first offence was for smashing up the altar in a church. I got approved school for that. I was only 13. So I was abused by a priest there. It's the only way I could really express how I was feeling. This lifestyle, man, it's never long before you get caught. It's always expected. But when you get back in, you've got a warm welcome from the screws. They've got a smile on their face for you. They know what the crack is. You've got your 3 square meals a day. Got your warm bed. That's all right. It's just once you've had all that, it's only a matter of time until that niggling feeling comes back. You want your freedom. But when that door slams at night.
We have an over-reliance on keeping people in custody, on preventing them escape, rather than supporting them getting back into the community. I would argue that most people don't really want to escape. There's kind of nowhere to go. And there are people who are now not even applying for early release, not applying for parole, because they know if they get out there, such are the hurdles, such are the difficulties, that they know they're going to fail. We have huge numbers of people go out on licence and they're breached because they can't conform to the terms and conditions. So we're not doing enough to support people through that transition. That's the difficult bit.
For years, criminological researchers have tried to identify what works to reduce reoffending. And there's a huge body of evidence on this, and in fact we know some things quite well. I think the summary of it is some things can work for some people some of the time. So we know what features an effective drug treatment scheme might have, or what features an effective scheme to build family relationships or improve education might be. But what the evidence really tells us is that the way the program's implemented is very, very important. So if you know what the successful features of a program are, then the practitioners who are implementing that program must be very well trained. They must reproduce the program very carefully. The environment must be just right.
It is the best answer to why Shakespeare I have ever heard. It's addictive. First time's never enough. You want to taste it again and again. Without, believe me, life can be tough. You think it's easy to quit? Think again. Just thinking of it makes me excited. Anxious, like a little kid. I can't wait. I've tried. I really have tried to fight it, but the feeling you get, the buzz, it's great. It gives you confidence to be the man, fighting raging bulls like a De Niro. Makes you invincible, like Superman. Only there's no kryptonite for this. You want to try this drug? Go on. Here. Don't worry. It's harmless. It's just Shakespeare.
And I don't know how else I could have broken out of that circle. Drugs, guns, robbery. That had become normal. It was a very long time ago, and I was in a B category prison at the beginning of a fairly lengthy sentence for armed robbery. I have to give credit to the education department at that prison, that said you can have a room. They either bought us or they rented us the scripts. It was a production of Harold Pinter's The Homecoming.
What have you done with the scissors? I said I'm looking for the scissors. What have you done with them? Did you hear me? I want to cut something out of the paper.
I'm reading the paper.
Not that paper. I haven't even read that paper. I'm talking about last Sunday's paper. I was just having a look at it in the kitchen. You hear what I'm saying? I'm talking to you. Where's the scissors? Why don't you shut up, you daft prat?
It was my first experience of being involved in a full theatrical production. Of course, with an inmate audience, they don't know the conventions of theatre. They don't know that you sit down and you stay quiet. But within the first 5 minutes, silence.
This boy was 19 years old. I'll tell you what happened to him at the end. He was 19 years old when he wrote this. He was finishing his GCSEs in prison. And this was part of his GCSE exercise. He did it, wrote it in a Shakespeare workout afternoon from his perception. And this is why this is called Phantom Macbeth. And it is all in iambic. So if you can take the first line, second line, third line, and then just carry on in telling this tale as he told it. Okay?
Confidence heard crack, my doubts well seated.
'Twas that moment when I was marred, cheated.
No man of woman born could cause my doom.
Doesn't every person come from a womb?
With allies deserting, frail cowards fled.
'Twas then Macduff's sluiced off my royal head.
The moral scene must now be written plain.
Don't let power and greed destroy your brain.
Don't listen to the plans of ambitious wives.
If you place any value on your life.
He wrote that in a session. That is extremely hard to do for anyone. There, not only does he encapsulate the entire story of the play, and from Macbeth's perspective, but as you will know, that is all imperfect. And that was the exercise that they were given. I'm pleased to say he got out of prison, he graduated from university, and today he writes for the Guardian newspaper.
And that's about people being in custody, but perhaps working out. It's about bringing work into the prison, it's about bringing prisoners out into the environment. It's about making that transition easier than it is at the moment. Because being released from prison can be quite dangerous, it can be quite traumatic. Deaths from drug overdose of recently released prisoners is very high. You don't read much about it. You read about suicides in prison, but you don't read about the prisoners who are dying because they haven't been prepared in terms of their illicit and official drug use before they're released. The suicide rate of people recently released from prison is equivalent to that of a psychiatric patient.
Get a bit of smack. It's always the first thing, and it makes everything easier. Gets me into my little comfort zone. I'm an addict. Helps me adjust to being out. Don't sleep much, don't need much sleep, man, but sleep. It's underpass. Generally like a few cardboard boxes. Sleep wherever I can, man. Like, you're not going to be that warm, but you're under cover, shelter. Get a bit of a kick in every now and again. It's dangerous. It's not the safest place.
Would come out of jail. People would write to us. Could they become involved? So there were people wanting to become involved in various levels or various aspects of the company. The three of us sat round my living room table, and yeah, the company Escape Artists was born. The local council approved of it. And then gave us further funding to work with these kids. We did do a performance in a local small theatre involving the kids. They enjoyed it. They came up with the goods, and they loved it, and they went away better people. And we were then commissioned again by the council to go into rehearsal and bring the thing up to professional standard, and to tour it in schools and youth clubs and youth facilities. We also toured it to young offenders institutions and prisons. It was seen by a then prima ballerina called Deborah Bull, who's a member of the Royal Ballet, and she absolutely loved it. And she booked us. And we ended this piece we'd kind of cobbled together for kids who'd been barred from every council facility in the county. Was now on at the Royal Opera House for a full professional run. It really is, you know, as though there's some abstract character that I'm talking about, a character from a novel or something when I talk about prison days, which didn't happen in an instant either. You know, I was a professional criminal.
And so the problem with rehabilitation in a prison is, first of all, some people don't spend very long in a prison, so if you start a programme, it might be difficult to continue it in the community. Also, if a prison is overcrowded, it means staff have less time to help you with problems or to deliver the programmes. And because our prisons are quite full, we tend to move offenders between prisons to even out the numbers. And again, this is disruptive, because if you started a programme, it might be difficult to finish it.
You hear so much about, and has over time. And that is, I suggest, why in 2006 the government really decided that these weren't perhaps the most helpful reports to be published. And would we please not do this any longer? And they found a way to curtail the funding for these kinds of mapping, these kinds of things. Because having sat on a Home Office committee, you don't, until you actually get to a place where you can actually see what's behind some of these statistics, you'd be shocked at sometimes what they're quoting, how small the sample that they're actually quoting on. But they don't have to report that. And you will only be able to find that out after X amount of time when it becomes public property.
Something like about 70 to 80,000 prisoners a year. So somewhere between, certainly over half the prison population is actually very, very close to release. It's probably within 12 months of release. Significant numbers of people are about to go back out into the community. But what prisons are we building? We're building secure prisons. We're building secure Category B prisons. We're building them big, we're building them cheap, and we're going to run them cheap, and they're going to be run by the private sector. What we're not building is the sort of prisons that would help people break the cycle, and those are prisons that would help people transition back into the community in a better way.
I used to have a flat, used to have a nice little gaff. It all gets taken away from you when you go back in. Everything gets taken away. It's not just your freedom. They shut your life down from out here. It's got nothing to come back to.
It's almost like he's calling me to go to where he's gone. Well, every day you wake up good and nothing that goes wrong. I am not scared, I do not fear, oh no, not even for a while. I just look forward to my door and that everlasting smile. Unless you've been there, it won't show you what to do. Unless you've been there, it won't show you, you gotta gather every clue.